And so we started and put together a product, things like vitamin C and calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, zinc, copper, selenium, things that were in the proper balance, because that's a key to this whole thing. And you have to have amplitude. You have to have enough of these things. And we started out with my son. I presented him with these nutrients, and I'd say, this was November of 1995, that he probably got about 15-20% better, but never enough to come off of his lithium. And I kept on tinkering with this. And we made some changes, and on January 17th of 1996, almost 2 years to the day that my wife had taken her life, we put him on another supplemental formula that we had put together. And Darren, it was an amazing experience. 3 days into it, he ran out of his lithium prescription. And my wife and I had, she calls it a fight. I call it a family discussion over whether or not.
Had a few of those myself.
Oh, sure. We've all been there, haven't we? But we had this argument over whether or not she would go down to the pharmacy and refill his Carbolith or his lithium prescription. And I didn't want her to do it. Because I said, Barb, we got to try this because this isn't working. Yeah, it might take a little bit of the edge off, but the side effects, and you have to force him to do this, and sometimes 3 or 4 of us would have to take him down on the floor and pack the lithium in, and pour water in, and hold his mouth shut, to get him to take it. Otherwise, he would absolutely lose it totally. And she said, I know, but I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid. And I said, okay, look, whatever. And she went down and got the prescription, and on the way home, she did some thinking about it. And she brought it into the house, and she said, here, Tony, you take it, and you do with it what you need. I'll support you, but I'm just really afraid. And I took that bottle of lithium, and I went upstairs, and I opened up the medicine chest, the bureau, and I put it on the shelf, and I never had to take it down and use it.
Wow.
Because this young man, within 30 days, no longer exhibited any symptoms of bipolar disorder. None. I remember sitting on the couch with him about 6 weeks into this, and he said to me, Dad, where was I? What happened to me? Why was I so angry? Why was I so mad all the time? And I just said, you don't have to go there. It doesn't matter. That wasn't you. That's another day. And all it was just neurochemistry that's out of balance. That's what that was. And these nutrients corrected it. We started my daughter with the 5 medications in February, about a month later. She had to come and stay at my home because she had to have 24-hour adult supervision or they were going to institutionalize her. And so her husband brought her down and said, Dad, can you look after her for a week? I'll come back. I'll get her in a week. And when she walked in the door, I just about wept. I mean, this was a shell of a person. Here's a young lady that accelerated right through grade 7. She jumped from 6 to 8.
Wow.
And she was so gifted, and she had all these wonderful talents, but had lost all of that in puberty when she began to exhibit the symptoms of bipolar disorder. And so she stayed in our house that Saturday, and I suggested to her that, I said, your brother's doing so much better. I want you to take these nutrients. And she blew up and said, my doctor told me if I ever get off these medications that I'll die. And I'm not doing it. And I said, okay, I'm not going to force you to do anything here. And the next day, we went to church. It was Sunday, and we all sat in a long pew together. And all of a sudden, she had this major anxiety attack, and she was just shaking. And I said, what's happening? She said, I'm losing it. And I said, come on, quickly. Let me take you home. And she got so out of sorts, and she became suicidal. And I had a friend who was a psychiatric nurse, and he came over and looked at her and said, we got to take her into the hospital right now, and she's got to be absolutely sedated. And I just said, no, we're not. We're not doing that. My wife was on Prozac at the time of her death. it literally caused a major crisis in her when she got on that medication. She was a Prozac death. And I told the psych nurse, I'm not doing it. And I won't say that I forced my daughter to do it, because that doesn't sound politically correct, but I did constrain her. And I took her home 6 days later, and she was a different person. She was off of four out of the 5 medications. She was able to look after herself. She was able to converse. And you know, she just got better and better and better and has never looked back.